Lieutenant Commander Jack Norton stood at the viewport of the USS Defiant, watching the stars streak by as the ship traveled at faster-than-light speeds. The year was 2157, and humanity had spread across several star systems after discovering how to bend space nearly 30 years ago. Jack had been with the space fleet for 15 years now, and exploration missions like this one still filled him with wonder. "Commander, we're receiving a distress signal," said Communications Officer Lisa Park, her voice cutting through his thoughts. "It's from the mining colony on Epsilon Eridani IV." Jack turned away from the viewport. "Put it through." The message was fragmented, filled with static. "Under attack, unknown, please send," then nothing but dead air. "That's all we got, sir," Lisa said, her fingers moving across her control panel. "It cuts off there. I've tried to re-establish contact, but there's no response." Captain Harold Weber entered the bridge, his face tight with concern. "How far are we from Epsilon Eridani?" "About 6 hours at maximum speed, sir," replied the navigator, a young officer named Ben Carter. "Set course immediately," Weber ordered. "Commander Norton, prepare a response team. We don't know what we're walking into." Jack nodded and left the bridge. He found Security Officer Diane Miller in the ship's gym, practicing hand-to-hand combat with a training dummy. "Suit up," he told her. "We've got a situation at the mining colony on Epsilon Eridani IV." Miller stopped mid-punch. "What kind of situation?" "Unknown. Distress call cut off. Could be technical problems, could be raiders." Miller wiped sweat from her forehead. "I'll gather my team." 6 hours later, the Defiant dropped out of FTL travel near Epsilon Eridani IV. The mining colony was visible from orbit, a collection of domed structures and excavation equipment spread across the rocky planet surface. "Life signs?" "Captain," Weber asked. Science Officer Dr. Alan Wright shook his head. "None detected, sir." A heavy silence fell over the bridge. "Commander Norton, take a team down and investigate," Weber said quietly. "Full environmental suits and weapons ready." The shuttle landed near the main colony dome. Jack led the team of 6, including Miller and Dr. Wright, across the dusty surface. The airlock to the dome was intact, showing no signs of forced entry. "No structural damage visible," Miller noted, scanning the exterior with her handheld device. Inside, they found horror. Bodies lay scattered throughout the facility, men and women frozen in postures of escape or defense. But there were no wounds, no blood, just vacant eyes staring at nothing. "What happened to them?" Jack whispered. Dr. Wright knelt beside one of the bodies, running a scanner over it. No visible cause of death, no trauma, no signs of suffocation. He moved to another body. "Same here. It's as if they just stopped." Miller was examining the colony's security logs. The system recorded an energy spike about 30 hours ago. Nothing on visual feeds, though. They all went dark at the same time. "Sir," called one of the security team members, "you need to see this." In the colony's command center, they found the final moments recorded by the emergency system. A group of colonists, clearly panicked, were trying to send a distress call. One man pointed at something off camera, his face twisted in fear. Then a wave of strange light passed through the room. Everyone simply collapsed. The recording ended. "I've never seen energy behave like that," Dr. Wright said, replaying the footage. "It passed through them like a wave, but it's not radiation, not any weapon I recognize." Jack felt cold despite his suit's temperature controls. "How many people were stationed here?" 223, Miller answered. "All dead now. All without a mark." They spent the next 4 hours documenting everything and collecting samples. Dr. Wright discovered strange energy residue throughout the colony that matched nothing in their databases. As they prepared to return to the Defiant, Navigator Carter's voice came through their comms. "Commander, we're detecting something on long-range scanners. A large object just appeared at the edge of the system." Back on the ship, Jack joined Captain Weber on the bridge. On the main screen, sensors displayed a massive vessel, at least 3 times the size of the Defiant. But the readings made no sense. The hull appears to be absorbing our scanning signals, Dr. Wright explained, looking puzzled. It's like looking at a hole in space. The material absorbs all light. A black ship, Jack said quietly. They're not responding to hails, Lisa reported. Captain Weber straightened his uniform. Keep trying. All hands to battle stations just in case. But before they could act further, the mysterious vessel simply vanished. Where did it go? Weber demanded. Unknown, sir, replied Ben. It didn't accelerate to FTL speed. It just disappeared. 3 days later, they were back at Earth Command headquarters. Jack sat stiffly in an uncomfortable chair as Admiral Paul Evans reviewed their report. A mysterious black ship that absorbs light and disappears without a trace, Evans said, his voice heavy with skepticism. And an unknown energy weapon that kills without leaving marks. That's what we found, sir, Jack insisted. Evans sighed. Commander, we have ships patrolling every sector. None have reported anything matching this description. Your sensors could have malfunctioned. With all due respect, sir, 223 people are dead. Yes, and we'll investigate that fully. Disease, environmental failure, there are many explanations that don't involve phantom ships. Jack felt his frustration rising but kept his voice level. Dr. Wright's readings will be analyzed. Evans cut him off. Until we have something concrete, you and the Defiant will continue your original mission. Map the outer sectors, look for suitable colony worlds. After the meeting, Jack found Diane Miller waiting outside. They don't believe us, she said. It wasn't a question. No. She handed him a data tablet. I've been going through old reports. 3 outposts went silent in the past year, all dismissed as equipment failure or environmental accidents. Jack looked at the screen. And? I plotted their locations. They form a straight line pointing directly to Epsilon Eridani. Jack felt a chill run down his spine. You think it's connected? Miller nodded. Whatever that ship is, I don't think. This was its first visit, and I doubt it will be the last. Jack stared at the map, the dots forming an ominous pattern across the stars. Then we need to be ready when it returns. Command won't help us. Then we'll do it ourselves, Jack said firmly. We'll gather information from every outpost, every ship. Someone must have seen something. Miller's eyes held a determined gleam. Where do we start? Jack looked up at the massive window showing Earth below, beautiful and vulnerable. Everywhere, because next time it could be here. As they walked away, neither of them noticed Admiral Evans watching from his office doorway, a troubled expression on his face as he made a call on a secure line. It's happening again, he said quietly to someone on the other end. Just like they warned us it would. 6 months passed since the Epsilon Eridani incident. Jack Norton now wore the rank of commander, having been given charge of the scout ship USS Harrier. It was smaller than the Defiant, but faster and equipped with better scanning technology. Jack knew his promotion was partly to keep him busy and away from Earth Command, but he didn't mind. It gave him freedom to continue his search. In those 6 months, 3 more colonies had gone silent. Each time, the official report cited equipment failure or natural disaster. Each time, Jack requested permission to investigate. Each time, he was denied. Until now. Commander, we've received new orders, said Communications Officer Kevin Reeves, a thin man with quick eyes and quicker fingers. We're to investigate the loss of contact with Nova Base on Proxima Centauri 2. Jack looked up from his tablet. Did Command finally come to their senses? Not exactly, sir. The order comes directly from Admiral Grant. She wants this kept quiet. Jack knew Susan Grant by reputation. Tough, no nonsense, and not one to ignore. Potential threats. This was the opening he needed. Set course immediately, he ordered, then tapped his comm. Miller, meet me in the briefing room. Diane Miller had followed Jack to the Harrier, taking the position of Chief of Security. When she arrived at the briefing room, Dr. Alan Wright was with her. The scientist had also requested transfer to the Harrier, curious about the strange energy readings he'd discovered. We've got permission to investigate Nova Base, Jack told them. It went silent 2 days ago. Miller's eyes narrowed. That's the fourth one. Fifth, if you count Epsilon Eridani, Wright corrected. Do we know what happened? Only that communication stopped suddenly, Jack said. No distress call this time. The Harrier reached Proxima Centauri 2 in just under 14 hours. From orbit, the base looked intact. A research station built into the side of a mountain on the otherwise uninhabitable planet. No life signs, Wright reported, just as Jack had expected. The landing team found the same scene they'd discovered, at Epsilon Eridani. Bodies with no visible cause of death, no signs of struggle, and the same strange energy residue throughout the facility. 42 people, Miller said quietly as they returned to the ship. All dead in an instant. Back, on the Harrier, Kevin Reeves had been busy analyzing data from all 5 incidents. "I've found something," he said, displaying a star chart on the main screen. 5 points of light blinked red. These are the locations of all the attacks. Is there a pattern? Jack asked. Yes, sir. They form a spiral path, each attack moving closer to more populated systems. Reeves typed a command and the computer extended the spiral. If the pattern continues, the next target would be here. The 6th point blinked yellow on the screen. Jack's blood ran cold. Tau Ceti Prime, the research outpost. Population 5,000, Miller said. Scientists and their families. How long do we have? Wright asked. Reeves studied his calculations. Based on the time between attacks, I'd estimate 2 weeks at most. Jack made his decision immediately. Set course for Tau Ceti Prime, maximum speed. Sir, Miller said cautiously, we should report to command first. Send the data to Admiral Grant. Jack agreed. But we're not waiting for orders. 5,000 people, Miller. The journey to Tau Ceti Prime took 4 days. Jack spent the time preparing evacuation plans and studying everything they knew about the black ship. It wasn't much. Admiral Grant called once during their journey. Her face on the screen was lined with worry. Norton, I've reviewed your data. I've ordered the Lexington and the Valiant to meet you at Tau Ceti, but they won't arrive for another week. That might be too late, Admiral. She nodded grimly. I know. Do what you can. I'm working on convincing command of the threat, but many still think this is some kind of natural phenomenon or raiders using new technology. And you, ma'am, what do you think it is? Grant was silent for a moment. I think we're dealing with something beyond our experience, Commander. Be careful. The Harrier reached Tau Ceti Prime with no sign of the black ship. Jack immediately contacted the outpost director, a stern woman named Beth Porter. You want us to evacuate based on a theory? Porter asked incredulously when Jack explained the situation. I've sent you the data, Jack replied. 5 colonies all destroyed the same way. Porter studied something off-screen, frowning. Even if I believed you, Commander, we have over 5,000 people here, and research equipment worth billions. The evacuation would take days. Then we need to start now, Jack insisted. Every hour counts. Whether it was the urgency in his voice or the data he'd provided, Porter finally agreed. The evacuation began that same day, with transport ships ferrying people to the Harrier and to orbital platforms where they could be picked up later by larger vessels. On the 3rd day, as they approached the halfway point of the evacuation, Kevin Reeves burst onto the bridge. Sir, long-range sensors are picking up something at the edge of the system. Jack didn't need to ask what it was. How long until it reaches the planet? At its current speed, 6 hours. Jack turned to communications. Send an emergency message to all transport ships. Tell them we have a potential hostile incoming. They need to speed up operations. The next 4 hours were chaos as they tried to evacuate as many people as possible. The transports were filled beyond capacity, safety protocols ignored in the rush to save lives. We have the black ship on visual, Reeves announced. The main screen showed the massive vessel, its hull seeming to absorb the very starlight around it as it moved steadily toward the planet. Any response to hails? Jack asked. None, sir. Dr. Wright studied the readings coming from the ship. The energy signature is building. Similar to what we found at the colonies, but much stronger. Jack made a quick calculation. How many people are still on the surface? About 800, Miller reported. Too many to save in the time they had left. Jack hit the comm button. This is Commander Norton to all transport ships. Proceed to safe distance immediately. Sir? Miller questioned. We're staying, Jack said firmly. Everyone else gets to safety. The Harrier will buy them time. Miller nodded, understanding in her eyes. I'll prepare defensive systems. As the last transports pulled away from the planet, the black ship entered orbit on the opposite side from the Harrier. It's powering weapons, Wright reported, his voice tight. Jack took a deep breath and settled into the command chair. Shields up. Move us between that ship and the planet. The Harrier was a scout ship, not a warship. Everyone on board knew they stood little chance against the massive vessel. But 5,000 lives had been at stake, and now 800 still were. Sir, Reeves said suddenly, I'm detecting energy building in the black ship. It's the same signature we found at the colonies, but much stronger. Jack leaned forward. Time to see what we're really dealing with. As the Harrier moved to intercept, the black ship fired its first shot. The black ship fired. A pulse of strange, shimmering energy shot toward Tau Ceti Prime. The Harrier moved into its path, shields at maximum. Brace for impact, Jack shouted. The energy wave hit the Harrier's shields. The small scout ship shuddered violently. Warning alarms blared across the bridge. Shields down to 40% from a single hit, Miller reported, her fingers dancing across the tactical console. Dr. Wright stared at his readings in disbelief. That wasn't a normal weapon. The energy is similar to what we found at the colonies, but concentrated. It's designed to disrupt organic material at the molecular level. Jack gripped the arms of his command chair. Can the shield stop it? They did this time, Wright said. But another direct hit might overload them. The black ship was moving, positioning itself for another shot at the planet. Jack knew they couldn't simply block it again. Weapon status? He asked. Miller checked her console. All systems operational, but our scans still can't find a weakness in that hull. It absorbs energy. Jack studied the enemy vessel on the main screen. It was huge, at least 5 times the size of the Harrier, with a surface so black it looked like a hole in space. Nothing absorbs everything, he said, remembering an old physics lesson. Target their propulsion system. Fire all weapons. The Harrier's laser cannons and missile batteries unleashed their fury on the black ship. Most of the hits seemed to disappear into the dark hull without effect, but one missile, striking near what they believed to be an engine port, caused a brief flash of light. We hit something, Miller exclaimed. Adjust targeting, Jack ordered. Focus on that area. The Harrier fired again, concentrating on the spot where they'd seen the reaction. This time the black ship shuddered visibly. Meanwhile, on the surface of Tau Ceti Prime, the last transport ships were lifting off, filled with evacuees. Jack knew they needed more time. Evasive maneuvers, he ordered. Keep us between that ship and the planet. The Harrier danced through space, small and agile compared to the massive black vessel, but their enemy was learning, adjusting its weapons to track their movements. Sir, it's firing again, Reeves warned. This time, the energy pulse caught only the edge of the Harrier's shields, but it was enough. The shield generator overloaded, sending sparks flying from consoles across the bridge. Shields down, Miller reported. Hull integrity at 87%. The black ship turned its attention back to the planet, seemingly dismissing the Harrier as a threat. It's targeting the surface, Wright said, voice tight with tension. Specifically, the research facility and the last transports. Jack knew they had one chance. All power to engines. Set collision course. Miller's head snapped up. Sir? We're not ramming them, Jack clarified, but I want them to think we might. Give me everything we've got right at that weak spot we found. The Harrier surged forward straight toward the black ship. At the last possible moment, Jack ordered, "Fire everything." Every weapon the scout ship possessed discharged at once, all aimed at the small vulnerability they'd identified. The black ship's hull lit up with a strange purple glow where the shots landed. Then something unexpected happened. A section of the hull cracked open, venting atmosphere and debris into space. "We heard it," Miller said, disbelief evident in her voice. The black ship turned away from the planet, its attack forgotten as it dealt with the damage. The last transports cleared the atmosphere, racing toward safety. "Sir, one of the pieces of debris," Reeves said suddenly. "It's organic." Wright was already examining it with the ship's sensors. "It appears to be a body. Humanoid, but definitely not human." "Can we retrieve it?" Jack asked. Miller checked the tactical display. "The black ship is withdrawing. We could attempt retrieval with a shuttle." Jack nodded. "Do it. Quick and careful." 20 minutes later, a strange body lay in the Harrier's medical bay. It was humanoid but taller than a human, with gray skin and a skeletal structure that seemed too complex for natural evolution. "Extensive bioengineering," Dr. Wright explained as he examined the body. "This being has been modified at the genetic level. Enhanced brain capacity, reinforced skeleton, artificial organs." To everyone's shock, the alien's eyes suddenly fluttered. "Open." It gasped, a wet, choking sound. Dark fluid leaked from its mouth. "It's alive!" Wright exclaimed, reaching for a medical scanner. The alien's hand shot up, grabbing Wright's wrist with surprising strength. It spoke, a series of clicks and whistles that made no sense. Jack stepped forward. "We can't understand you." The alien seemed to realize this. It released Wright and pointed to a tablet on a nearby table. Wright handed it over cautiously. With shaking fingers, the alien typed something, then turned the screen toward them. A single word appeared. "Harbinger." "Is that what you're called?" Jack asked. "A harbinger?" The alien shook its head weakly. It typed again. "We stop them. The danger. The spreading." "Stop who?" Jack pressed. "Humans?" The alien's breathing was becoming more labored. It typed one more message. "Too similar. Path of progenitors must not repeat." Then it convulsed once and went still. Wright checked for life signs and shook his head. "It's dead." What did it mean? Miller wondered. Too similar to what? Jack stared at the alien's final message. "I don't know, but I think we've just stumbled into something much bigger than we realized." The Harrier limped back to Earth, carrying its strange cargo and the news of their partial victory. For the first time, humans had successfully damaged the black ship and, more importantly, discovered that there were living beings inside it. The 800 people from Tau Ceti Prime had all been saved, and the 5,000 already evacuated were safe at various starbases. But the research outpost itself had been destroyed once the black ship recovered enough to fire a parting shot. Admiral Grant met them personally when they docked at Earth Orbital Station 1. "You did the impossible, Commander," she said, studying the damage to the Harrier. "You heard it." "Yes, ma'am," Jack replied. "But I have a feeling it will be back, and next time it won't underestimate us." Grant nodded grimly. "Earth Command is finally taking this seriously. They're forming a task force, and I want you to lead it." "What about the alien body we recovered?" "Being studied as we speak. The best minds on Earth are working to decipher the technology and biology. Maybe it will give us the edge we need." Jack looked out a viewport at Earth below, beautiful and blue and terribly vulnerable. "What was that word it used?" Grant asked. "Harbinger," Jack replied. "In old Earth terms, it means something that announces the coming of something else." Grant's expression darkened. "The question is, the coming of what?" Jack had no answer, but a cold feeling in his gut told him they would find out soon enough. 1 month passed since the battle at Tau Ceti Prime. Earth and its colonies were on high alert. The task force formed by Admiral Grant had grown to include 12 ships, with the newly repaired Harrier serving as Jack's command vessel. Weapons. Research teams worked day and night to find better ways to fight the black ship. Scientists studied the alien body, trying to understand its origins. Engineers designed new shield systems that might withstand the strange energy weapon. Jack stood in a large conference room at Earth Command, surrounded by star maps and tactical displays. Miller, Wright, and Reeves were with him, along with Admiral Grant and several other high-ranking officers. "We believe we've identified a pattern in the black ship's movements," Jack explained, pointing to a series of red dots on the star map. "Thanks to Reeves's analysis, we can predict it will appear next in the Beta Hydri system." "There's nothing there," one of the officers pointed out. "No colonies, no outposts." "Which is why it's the perfect place to set a trap," Jack replied. "We can establish a fake colony, make it look like we're starting a new mining operation. When the black ship arrives, we'll be waiting." Admiral Grant nodded. "The full task force will be hidden behind the system's gas giant. As soon as the black ship appears, we strike with everything we have." "What about the aliens' warning?" asked Dr. Wright. "About us being too similar to something called the progenitors?" "Our research teams have been searching ancient records and archaeological databases," Grant said. "They found references to a species called the progenitors in the ruins on Centauri III. According to the fragments they could translate, the progenitors were an advanced civilization that disappeared about 50,000 years ago." "Disappeared how?" Miller asked. Grant's expression was grim. "The records aren't clear, but there are references to a darkness that consumes light, and a judgment from the void." Jack felt a chill run down his spine. "The black ship." "Or something like it," Grant agreed. "The ruins also mentioned harbingers who came before the darkness, warning of judgment." "So our dead alien might have been trying to warn us," Jack said. "Possibly. But warning us about what? That we're somehow following the same path as these progenitors?" Grant shook her head. "Without more information, we can't know." The plan was set in motion. A fake mining colony was established on a rocky planet in the Beta Hydri system. It was filled with realistic-looking equipment and heat signatures that would mimic human presence. The task force hid behind the gas giant, waiting. 2 weeks later, sensors detected a spatial distortion at the edge of the system. The black ship had arrived. "All ships, battle stations," Jack ordered from the bridge of the Harrier. "Maintain position until my command." They watched as the black ship approached the fake colony. It moved slowly, seemingly cautious after the damage it had sustained in their last encounter. "It's scanning the planet," Reeves reported. "Energy. Readings are increasing." "Wait for it to fully commit," Jack said tensely. "We need it in range of all ships." The black ship moved into orbit around the rocky planet, positioning itself to fire on the fake colony. "Now," Jack ordered. 12. Ships emerged from behind the gas giant, engines at full power as they raced toward the black ship, but as they approached, sensors detected 2 more spatial distortions. "Sir," Miller called out, "2 more ships just appeared." 2 additional black ships, smaller than the first but with the same light-absorbing hull, materialized on either side of the original vessel. "They brought reinforcements," Jack said grimly. "All ships adjust targeting. Focus fire on the original ship. We know it's already damaged." The battle erupted across the Beta Hydri system. Human ships fired everything they had at the 3 black vessels. The black ships responded with their energy weapons, tearing through shields and hulls. 2 of our destroyers are heavily damaged," Miller reported. "The Wellington is gone, sir. Direct hit." Jack felt each loss like a physical blow, but they couldn't retreat now. "Continue the attack. Target the weak point we found before." The Harrier darted between the larger ships, using its speed and maneuverability to avoid the deadly energy pulses. They managed to land several good hits on the original black ship, causing visible damage to its hull. "Sir, I'm detecting a power surge in the damaged section," Wright said suddenly. "It might be preparing to self-destruct." Jack made a split-second decision. "Prepare boarding teams. We need to get inside that ship before it's destroyed." "Board it?" Miller looked at him in disbelief. "Sir, that's..." Our only chance to find answers, Jack finished for her. I'll lead the team myself. Minutes later, Jack, Miller, and 4 security officers launched in a small, stealthy shuttle toward the damaged black ship. Using the chaos of the battle as cover, they approached the hull breach they had created during their first encounter. The atmosphere inside appears breathable, Wright said over the comm. But be careful. We don't know what defenses they might have. The shuttle docked near the breach and the team entered the black ship. The interior was strange. Corridors with curved walls made of the same light-absorbing material as the hull, lit by an eerie purple glow that seemed to come from nowhere and everywhere at once. This way, Jack said, following readings on his scanner. There's a large energy source at the center of the ship. They moved carefully through the corridors, encountering no resistance. It was as if the ship was abandoned. Where is everyone? One of the security officers whispered. They reached a large circular chamber. In the center floated a crystalline structure that pulsed with energy. Around it were what looked like control stations, but with no visible controls, just smooth, black surfaces. It's some kind of AI, Wright said over the comm, analyzing the readings they were sending back. The crystalline structure appears to be a quantum computing core. As if in response to Wright's words, the crystal pulsed brighter. A holographic image appeared, a being similar to the dead alien they had found, but this one was clearly an artificial representation. You should not be here, it said in perfect English. Your presence was not anticipated. Jack stepped forward. Who are you? Why are you attacking human colonies? The hologram tilted its head, studying them. I am the custodian. I was created to preserve galactic stability and prevent the rise of destabilizing technologies. By killing innocent people? Miller demanded. Species that develop certain technologies must be contained or removed, the custodian explained, without emotion. Your kind has begun to develop spatial folding drives that damage the fabric of space-time. Left unchecked, this technology will cause irreparable harm to the galaxy. The progenitors, Jack said. They developed the same technology, didn't they? The hologram nodded. They refused to heed our warnings. Their drive systems created cascading tears in space-time that destroyed 12 star systems before they were stopped. Stopped by you, Jack guessed. By my creators. I was built to ensure such destruction never happens again. Jack felt a cold realization. How many species have you stopped? 1,427 species have been removed to preserve galactic stability, the custodian replied calmly. Many more have been guided to safer technological paths. The ship shuddered around them. The battle outside was intensifying. You have a choice, the custodian continued. Abandon your expansion, modify your technologies, or face extinction. Jack looked at Miller and the other team members. He knew humanity would never accept such terms. We need to disable it, he whispered to Miller. Then, louder, we need time to consider your offer. Time is irrelevant, the custodian said. The choice must be made now. As the hologram spoke, Jack nodded to Miller. They had prepared for this possibility. From her pack, she removed a series of small explosive charges specifically designed to disrupt energy fields. Now, Jack shouted. Miller quickly placed the charges around the crystal core, while the security team fired at the hologram projectors. The custodian's image flickered. This action will not save you, it said, its voice distorting. Others will come. Let's go, Jack ordered as the charges were set. They raced back through the corridors toward their shuttle. Behind them, the first explosions rocked the ship. All ships, this is Commander Norton, Jack called over the comm as their shuttle detached from the black ship. Fall back to safe distance. Target vessel is going to blow. The human fleet pulled away just in time. The damaged black ship erupted in a massive explosion, sending strange energy waves rippling through space. The 2 smaller black ships immediately vanished, retreating from the battle. As the Harrier picked up their shuttle, Jack knew they had won a victory, But the war was far from over. They had learned the truth about their enemy, but that truth was more terrifying than he could have imagined. An ancient AI, judging and eliminating entire civilizations for 50,000 years. And humanity was next on its list. 3 months passed since the battle at Beta Hydri. Earth and all human colonies prepared for war. The knowledge gained from the encounter with the custodian AI changed everything. Jack stood before the United Earth Council, the governing body, representing all human settlements. Admiral Grant stood beside him, along with Dr. Wright, Miller, and Reeves. "The black ships will return," Jack said to the assembled leaders. The custodian made that clear. "We destroyed one ship, but there are more. We need to be ready." "What exactly are we facing?" asked President Laura Garcia. "You mentioned an ancient AI?" "Yes, Madam President. The custodian was created at least 50,000 years ago by an unknown species. Its mission is to prevent technologies that it believes threaten space-time stability." "Our FTL drives," another council member said. Jack nodded. "Specifically, the new folding drive system we developed 2 years ago. According to the custodian, it's similar to what the progenitors used, technology that allegedly damaged multiple star systems." "Are we certain the AI is telling the truth?" President Garcia asked. "This could be a deception." Dr. Wright stepped forward. "We've analyzed the data from the encounter, Madam President. The quantum signatures we detected in the black ship's energy weapons match anomalies found in several dead star systems. Something catastrophic happened in those regions of space, thousands of years ago." "Can we modify our technology?" another council member asked. "Give the AI what it wants?" Jack shook his head. "The custodian gave us 3 options. Abandon our expansion into space, modify our technology under its supervision, or face extinction. The first option would confine humanity to a handful of star systems forever. The second would make us subject to an alien AI's control." "Leaving us with the third option," Admiral Grant said grimly. "Fight." President Garcia looked troubled. "A fight against an enemy that has been eliminating civilizations for 50,000 years. "But now we know what we're facing," Jack said, "and knowledge is power." The council voted unanimously to prepare for the return of the black ships. Every available resource was directed toward defense. Dr. Wright led a team of scientists to modify shield technology based on what they'd learned about the black ship's energy weapons. Miller trained special forces in boarding tactics, using the information they'd gathered during their brief time inside the enemy vessel. Kevin Reeves made the most surprising breakthrough. While studying ancient transmissions collected from across the galaxy, he discovered patterns that matched the communication protocols used by the custodian. "It's a backdoor," he explained to Jack and Admiral Grant in a secure lab. "The custodian must communicate with its ships somehow. If we can tap into that communication, we might be able to disrupt it or even feed it false information." For 6 months, humans prepared. New defensive systems were installed on Earth and major colonies. The fleet grew as every available ship was armed and upgraded. Scientists worked to modify the FTL drive technology to address the supposed risks while maintaining their ability to travel between stars. Then the day they had been dreading arrived. "Multiple spatial distortions detected at the edge of the solar system," announced the sensor officer at Earth Defense Command. Jack, now promoted to admiral himself, studied the main display. 7 black ships had appeared, including the 2 smaller vessels from the previous battle. They moved in perfect formation toward Earth. "All defense platforms activate shields," Jack ordered. "Fleet to battle positions." Earth's defensive fleet, nearly 100 ships of various sizes, moved to intercept the black ships. This time, they were prepared. "Open a channel," Jackum said. "Let's see if they'll talk first." To everyone's surprise, the communication was accepted. The custodian's holographic form appeared on the main screen. "Your resistance is noted," it said, "but ultimately futile. You were given a choice." "We choose a 4th option," Jack replied. "Coexistence. We've modified our drive systems to address the concerns about space-time stability. Our scientists have confirmed the changes eliminate the risks you identified." The custodian's expression didn't change. Your modifications are insufficient. The risk remains. The risk is minimal and can be managed, Jack argued. Destroying an entire species for a theoretical future danger is not logical. The calculations are clear, the custodian insisted. The judgment stands. Jack had expected this response. It was never about logic. The AI had been executing its programming without question for 50,000 years. It would not be reasoned with. He nodded slightly to Reeves, who was working at a console nearby. This had been their real plan all along. Now, Jack said quietly. Reeves activated the program they had developed, a virus designed to infiltrate the custodian's communication network. Based on the protocols he had discovered, it would force the AI to process new information. On the screen, the custodian's hologram flickered. "What are you doing?" it asked, its voice distorting. "Showing you something you've never considered," Jack said. "We're uploading evidence of human adaptability, creativity, and peaceful cooperation. We're showing you that species can change and evolve their technology to be safer." The hologram flickered more violently as the virus fed data directly into the custodian's processing core. Historical records of human scientific advancements, artistic creations, peaceful resolutions to conflicts, and the modifications they'd made to their drive system specifically to address the AI's concerns. "Irrelevant," the custodian said, but its voice wavered. "The protocol must be followed." "Your protocol is flawed," Jack pressed. "It doesn't account for adaptation. The progenitors may have refused to change, but we haven't. We heard your warning and we responded. Destroying us would violate your core purpose, to protect life in the galaxy." For several tense minutes, the custodian's image continued to flicker as it processed the new information. The black ships remained motionless in space. Finally, the hologram stabilized. "Your argument has merit. I will review the modified technology." Dr. Wright stepped forward. "We're transmitting the full specifications now. Our calculations show the changes reduce any theoretical risk by 99.7%. Another long pause followed. The entire command center held their breath. "The modifications are acceptable," the custodian finally said. "However, monitoring will continue. Any deviation will result in immediate judgment." "We understand," Jack replied, relief washing over him. The hologram disappeared. Slowly, the black ships began to turn away from Earth. "They're leaving," Miller reported, disbelief in her voice. "Track them," Jack ordered. The fleet watched as the 7 black ships moved to the edge of the solar system. 6 of them vanished into spatial distortions. The 7th, one of the smaller vessels, remained behind. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the remaining ship," Reeves said. A new hologram appeared, but this one was different. It looked like the alien they had found dying after the battle at Tau Ceti. "I am a harbinger," it said. "I will remain at the boundary of your space as observer and, if needed, intermediary." "You're not part of the custodian?" Jack asked. "We serve alongside the guardians as witnesses and guides. Some species like yours demonstrate the capacity to adapt. Others do not. The custodian's judgment has been modified in your case. Do not make us regret this exception." With that, the hologram disappeared. The black ship moved to a position at the very edge of the solar system where it remained, a silent sentinel. In the days that followed, humanity celebrated their narrow escape from extinction, but they also understood the vigilance required to maintain their new status. The black ship at the edge of their space, now referred to simply as the Watcher, was a constant reminder of both their victory and the thin line they walked. Jack stood at a viewport on Earth Orbital Station 1, looking out at the stars. Miller joined him, following his gaze. "Do you think they'll ever truly trust us?" she asked. "Maybe not," Jack replied. "But they've given us a chance to prove ourselves. That's more than the progenitors got, apparently." "The legend of the black ship," Miller said thoughtfully. "It will change how we approach everything now." Jack nodded. As it should, we've earned our place among the stars, but not through weapons or conquest, through adaptation, intelligence, and the willingness to change. As they stood there, a transport ship departed for a colony world, its new, modified drive creating a gentle ripple in space rather than the tearing effect of the old system. It was a small change, but one that had saved humanity. The black ship that killed without warning had become the black ship that watched without interfering. And humanity moved forward into the stars with new wisdom and caution, forever changed by the encounter.